Welcome back to the Caribou Data Science channel. This is the first of two Midnight Madnesses this week. The subject for tonight is my favorite memory-based database, DuckDB, the preferred database for 8 out of 10 analysts prefer DuckDB. Okay. Also, of course, before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you would give this video a quick like. Okay. Let's just pull up our terminal here a little bit. We're actually going to be using a terminal multiplexer. If you're familiar with a GNU Screen or TMUX, this is similar. This one is called Zelix. Okay. I'm running Arch Linux, a bare install, no X, no fancy apps, no nothing like that. I honestly haven't got much done yet with Zelix yet. I can split a screen and that's about it. So here's our agenda for this evening. Gotta start Zelix. Okay. Now if you do Control P in, it does give us a new screen. Okay. And what we're interested in tonight is only the dates. We're going to take a look at this first part of the left-hand screen over there where it says date functions. All the date functions there are used in combination with the date underscore part function. Okay? So let's just come, let's look at our, so the reason we're interested in this data is because it has both year and dates in there. Okay, so let's start. Now when you start Duck this way, okay, session quit resize. Let's try this, Control P. Oh, that's interesting. Not what I wanted, but it's interesting. Okay, good. Now, a couple things about DuckDB. As you can see, it has command completion. It can also read directly from different file formats, such as CSV, XL. It can also read from Parquet files. It can read SQLite tables. It can read Postgres tables. Okay, so let's start over here, AVER. Let's take a look at one. Okay, so again, what we're interested in is really just the date, which isn't actually listed there. Okay, let's do this. I want to introduce you to one of my favorite functions in here. Okay, and that is you can use the mode function live. And what it'll do, well, you can see what it does. It puts each of the columns into its individual row, okay? And you can see the first column there says, it says day. We're interested in the day function, right? So let's start with first of all, let's go ahead and let's create a table. Now remember, we're only working in memory, so this means that the call this temp, okay? Then let's do a describe. And here's a list of all of our columns. Okay, you got entity, which is basically country. You got code, which is a 3-digit code. You got year. You got date. You got average surface temperature. I can't say anything. I can't count. If you want to switch back to the regular station, we can go. I think. Let's see. Duck box. Let's switch back to the standard C. So now here's our thing. Again, we're only interested in date. So let's look at the first and last date. These are not, of course, date functions. We're just doing a quick look here, a quick look-see here. We could say, we could also do a min. So now you can see our date range. Yeah, so it goes from January 1940 all the way up. Now this is interesting. The last date is different from the max date, and this could be a sort issue. Okay, this could be a sort problem. Let's try some here. Let's okay, yeah, they're right. Now the question is, why do we get two different dates here for the last? How come the last date is different than the max date? And it could have something to do with the sorts. It could be because first and last really isn't a date function either. Okay, so that's a couple things. So there that is. Okay. So now again, all these functions up here are. What we could do is let's do this. Let's do a count. Nothing. And here's our dates. Okay, so there's a 1,011 rows of dates. Okay, now let's begin looking at our date functions here. We got century, we got decade, we got quarter. Let's just take a look at part quote, I believe. Now we should have 2 centuries. We should have the 20th century and the first part of the 21st century. Okay. And there you can see that. You can see we got the 20th, we got the 20th and the 21st century, okay? Let's do this. there, you can see that, okay? So we got the century. What about the decades? So how many decades do we should have? We should have, what, 10 decades in the 20th century and 2 decades in the 21st century, okay? Okay, so it's 1940, 1950, 1960, 2000, 2001, and 2002. Very good. Well, here's the thing. We got 4 quarters. Yeah, there's going to be 4 quarters, right? But the question is, how many times do these individual quarters actually appear? Suppose we put a count out here. Well, did I mention, if you are out there watching a little bit, do me a favor and click on the like button for me there. And if you are by chance watching this as a result of promotion, hey, thanks for clicking that promotion button for me, okay? So, now, this is interesting. Why is the first quarter a little larger than second, third, and fourth? Well, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Unless, of course, there's more first quarters out there. You know what let's do? I believe we had a year, didn't we? Do we have a year? Okay, this makes sense because this doesn't have all the data. It only goes up through the first quarter of 2024. That's what it is. Okay, very good. All right. So again, an interesting function, right? What about millennium? Now, part of the problem with Zealotch is it's really designed for like programmers and software developers who aren't really interested in graphical design, and they aren't interested in mice and stuff like that. Here's a question for you: how can I clear the screen in DuckDB? Let's ask ChatGPT that if we can. So how do we clear something up here? Okay, we left off with millennium, right? And again, what I want you to notice here is that there is no file. But for this point here, you know what? Let's just go ahead and let's create a file this time. DuckDB. We're going to call it. Okay. We're going to say oh good. There it is. Good. We left off with millennium, right? Good. Okay, good. So we got millennium. So let's move on to some move on to what? No, that's the wrong table, isn't it? Although, you know, what the heck? Let's just roll with it, okay? Let's see something there. Let's just do my favorite thing here. So now we got a picture of what's going on here, okay? Now what does I'm not sure what passenger demand means, but freight demand, CO2 emissions, carbon intensity, carbon per unit energy. So we got some interesting statistics here. Let's start up here then. Let's start with Good, so the sealing does actually work, doesn't it? That's interesting. You know, of the ones listed up there, okay, you might need to make an explicit typecast. Okay, let's move on to something else. Geo means is an interesting one. Okay. Hmm. Do I mean GC? Well, yes, I do. Now, GCO. I must not be spelling something right. I don't. Okay. Do you mean? Well, yes, I do mean that. This is GEO. Let's try GEO. There it is. Okay. So what is this geo mean? Well, it's sort of like. Well, let's ask. its long name is geometric mean. Okay? It says a geometric mean is a measure of a central tendency that is calculated by multiplying together all the numbers in a data set and then taking the nth root of the product, where n is the number of values in the data set. It is often used dealing with quantiles that are better understood in terms of their relative rather than their, yes, okay. Let's say you have a set of numbers representing the growth rate of a company, and 7. To find a geometric mean, you would multiply all these rates together, and then you would divide it by the number of the values, right? Then we define a geometric mean. You would take the nth root, because there's 5 values, nth root of the root of the product. So you could take the 5th root of this right here, and that gives you this. Okay? Yeah, one thing about this, it does have some interesting so the geometric mean was 224. Okay. So what does the mean? The mean is 232. Now what about now to a certain extent this 223. So the average and the median are very close. But there is a difference between 220 and in this case actually the mean and the median are the same. Would that mean, that's an interesting question. If the mean and median are close to geometric mean, it suggests that the data set is relatively symmetrical, does not have contain significant outliers. Oh, that's very good. Okay. Here's what each scenario might represent. If the mean and median are close, this suggests that the data set is well suited for geometric analysis and that the values exhibit a balanced multiplicative relationship. If the mean and median are different, differ significantly from the geometric mean, it might indicate that the data set contains outliers or skewed in one way or another. Okay, good. So what else do we want to do here? I can't remember what MAD is. It's okay, so let's look at two popular measures. Let's look at TURT and So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that so what does this tell us? It probably tells us that, as the other thing suggested, it is pretty symmetrical. Oh, the kurtosis value of negative 0.91 indicates that the distribution of the data is patakurtic, meaning it has a thinner tail and is less peaked than an over distribution. And the tails of the distribution are lighter, and the distribution is relatively flat. That the distribution of data is positively skewed, meaning it has a longer tail on the right side, and the majority of data is centered on the left side. Okay. So based on these values, the data has a flatter and less peaked distribution than an over distribution. The data is positively skewed, which means more values are concentrated to the left side. The tail is extended towards the higher values. Okay. I don't think it can do this. Let's see. Let's do this. Okay, let's come back up here. All right. Now the advantage again to the GTP Plus is it can in fact draw the plots for us. Unless we get an error. And so we'll use these plots as the actual plot for the live stream tonight. Let's take a look over here now. So what do you think about Zelix as a terminal emulator? What do you think? Pictures. Where was that saved to? Downloads. And there is your plot for the evening, illustrating Katosa and skewness, okay? Thanks so much for your time, folks. We'll pick up with some more DuckDB functionality here on our Wednesday, or is it Thursday? Let's say Thursday Midnight Madness. Thursday at midnight. Be there, be square. Click the like